I believe a lot of the frustration that gamers have with PlayStation's new hero shooter Concord is, well, what's happened the last couple of years at Sony. They infamously in 2021 shut down the Japan studio, developer behind a lot of iconic, maybe smaller PlayStation experiences. At the time, the reasoning why they were shutting it down was to further strengthen business operations. It was an embarrassment for Sony at the time, and they faced a lot of heat for the decision. And now you look at what's come in the last couple of years, because it's quite clear that Jim Ryan, what his administration, what his team wanted to be a focus for PlayStation moving forward, was on live service entries. Earlier on this year, we had Helldivers 2 that had immediate success, but it has fallen quite badly lately. Last of Us Online spent years in development, ended up falling apart, and now we have this project, which 8 years of development on a hero shooter, and it looks like a giant flop. And it's quite clear that this development began because of Overwatch, the success that Blizzard had with that game. And for some reason, during that span of time, nobody thought that they needed to differentiate themselves from Blizzard and the many other, hero shooters on the market. I mean, this year you can look alone. You have Deadlock, which has already had immediate success. Marvel's Rivals is quickly approaching. Overwatch is still doing pretty decent. Paladins has been around for a while, and there's a number of other hero shooters on the market, along with new and thriving multiplayer experiences that are set to arrive in the coming weeks, all of which will take attention and players away from, Concord, which really doesn't have any players, as we'll explore in this video. But it is important to understand that this project was expensive. They had to have spent over $100 million on this. A simple breakdown of it is just the fact that the studio is based out of Washington. Everybody's probably making six figures, well over 100 developers, and this project has probably been in development, full production for at least 5 years. So yes, they had to have invested over $100 million, which a lot of people, again, believe that they should have invested maybe on, their Japan studio, keeping that going, and they probably would have had a lot more success than what's going to happen here with Concord, which really does not have a path forward. And by no means, I don't think the game is terrible. I think the gunplay is actually pretty darn enjoyable, but it has no distinct identity. The maps are okay. The cosmetics, though, the character design is abysmal. I would actually say the cosmetics are ugly. You have this major selling point. You get $40 and you don't have to worry about a battle pass or anything along those lines. But then the actual unlocks for the characters are horrifically, they're ugly. They're downright ugly. I mean, who wants a different colored blue suit? That's pretty much what a lot of these cosmetics are. There's like one distinct change from what the characters look like, and it's just, I don't feel like that's even a purpose to continue playing the game. There's nothing about these characters that is enjoyable, and that is supposed to be one of the major selling points for a hero shooter like this. And that's why when the open beta happened earlier this summer, that should have been put off major red flags for Sony, with the fact that there just wasn't any interest even with that. I think it may have broken like 1,000 or 2 players. That is horrible for a hero shooter like this, that I'm sure Sony's initial expectations was that it would probably be having at least 5,000 to 10,000 players on Steam, and probably much more on PlayStation. And it looks like it's never even going to reach those heights, even if it goes free to play. So yeah, they had to have spent a shit ton of money on this. And then we have the cinematics. This is probably where all the money was spent. Whenever you enter into a match, there's like a short little video that shows the ship entering into orbit of whatever planet that you're supposed to be playing the match on. It actually looks very cool, very detailed, and I guess that's what's supposed to set this game apart from the other hero shooters. Have no idea why they thought this was going to be a selling point. And yeah, every week there's supposed to be new cinematics. This was something that Gene Park brought up on Twitter because people were arguing, this isn't what they promised. They didn't say this. They never even really communicated it. And as Gene says here, the Concord gameplay reveal kicked off the Sony State of Play, and weekly cinematics was a lead feature. People either forgot or were so apathetic the information didn't stick. And I think it's pretty much this. It's the latter. And if you actually check this article coming from PlayStation, this was just days ago, in which they said, during our first week and every week after, we'll be premiering our weekly cinematic vignettes in-game. These brief cinematics expand upon the characters in the universe of Concord that nobody gives a shit about. We can't wait for you to learn more about the crew of the North Star, their journey, and of course their tidy ship in the coming weeks. And we actually just got week 2 of these cinematics, and here's my reaction to, I guess, the selling point of Concord. Love to see how this is fleshing out the universe, its characters, making people actually care about it. They had to have spent hundreds of millions on this.
We have received a message from the Free Gunner crew, Dark Cutter.
It's an intimidating name.
There's knockoff Drax.
Demands that we turn around. Apparently they are after the same bounty on Glance.
It's gonna be a real bad day for them.
Perhaps we need a more intimidating name. The Hollow Mirage.
Darkcutter was the crew that warned us about the guild checkpoint, and now they are threatening us.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Free Gunner Code says we share the stars, but once we're planetside, it's every crew for themselves.
Oh my, how dramatic.
What if we were the Omen Riders?
So, the Darkcutter crew, they are our enemy? Or our friend?
Yeah, both.
I find the incongruity thrilling.
Hey,
It's
you know
just
what else
boring.
we're doing?
I mean,
A successful mission on glance. Come on, let's do this, people.
You got it, Captain.
that was baffling.
Darkcutter, watch your backs. Also,
This is supposed to
pleasure
flesh out the
flying cars
universe,
with you.
make you
Also,
interested, and it
not
just
stand a chance.
doesn't.
And your name does not intimidate us.
But that's the new weekly cinematic, I suppose. Jesus. And another takeaway to have with those cinematics is that they were extremely expensive and it had to have taken them years to make. I mean, they look good, and I'm sure that they have dozens of them ready to go for the coming weeks to be, but I don't even know if we'll actually ever see all of them release. This is some of the plans that they have coming up. Concord's next free gunner has a gap to fill in the hero shooter. Concord may be struggling on Steam with a lower player count, but future post-launch seasons are confirmed. We'll see about that. Hopefully these updates address the need for more healers in Concord. Again, there's issues with the actual gameplay of Concord. It is not perfect. I think it's enjoyable enough, but yes, there are problems and things that they need to fix with these characters, especially with some of the design choices that they made with them. And yeah, this is the overmap. This is the roadmap that they have. They promise new free gunner, new map, new variants, quality of life updates, new cosmetics and rewards, new vignettes. This is all supposed to be happening in October. And then we also have the fact that they are promising, they're like, yeah, we're strapped in, ready to go to push it for years to come. And these developers are going to be devastated when they get that shutdown notification in a couple of weeks, because it's coming. And the reviews for Concord have not gotten better. As you can see, it has a 65 on OpenCritic. That's terrible. It's weak, as it says in the score. Only 23% of critics are recommending this experience. While I do enjoy the gunplay, again, the characters, it's not even just their designs that there's problems with. It's really how they function and how the gameplay comes together. And yeah, all of the reviews, everything about this has been getting worse. Eurogamer saying, well, they gave it a 3 out of 5. Concord's snappy combat and colorful character abilities make it a perfectly playable shooter. I don't even know if that's a compliment. But muddled hero designs and unimaginative maps and modes leave it struggling to stand out. I'd actually say I kind of like some of the maps, but that's just me. Taking a look at Steam user reviews for Concord, in 1 week after launch, there's not even 500 of them. And of the 477 that are here, only 2/3 of that's positive. And it is important to remember that PlayStation Network account requirement, which became a mandate earlier on this year. Tons of controversy, obviously, with Helldivers 2. That's here with Concord. What that means is, well, there's over 100 countries, territories that don't even have the option to play or buy this game right now. Feels like PlayStation shooting themselves in the foot with that decision. We did also see some of the articles coming from Games Media is rather baffling. IGN saying Concord is another high-profile victim of AAA's painful long development time. If this game released maybe, let's just say, 5 years ago, I still don't think it would have been successful. There's so many issues with the design of this game that it's baffling that they continued down this path for so long. And even if this went free to play, I genuinely don't think there would be interest here because of how unappealing it is in terms of its design. And also the fact that the characters, everything there, the cosmetics that have been made for it, it is downright ugly. PC Gamer shared a similar opinion, saying the eagerness to grave dance on unpopular games has become a bad habit. Concord's low turnout has led to the usual jubilation over the prospect of seeing a big game fail. You know, the AAA games industry the last couple of years has become very predictable with its live service slop. They just love chasing stupid ass trends, and in 2016 some of the developers at Firewalk, Sony, whoever funded this, thought, wow, Overwatch is doing really good, let's make our own. And they pretty much produced an Overwatch reskin with nothing unique about it, ugly characters, ugly cosmetics, and they thought that this was going to be successful. So no, PC Gamer, I'm going to continue to jump on these live service disasters, this live service slop. That failure was so obvious, I guess not to the PlayStation executives, but everybody else. We knew that this was coming. More articles, The Gamer, let's give Concord a chance. Baffling. This is also the same outlet that went after Hogwarts Legacy last year. Find this so funny. Concord may have had a rocky start, but but its unique gameplay styles and diverse characters make it a fun shooter. The weekly story updates are turning the tide for Concord. For who? For the 10 players that are playing this, offering more depth to its characters and setting it apart. I have absolutely no idea anything about these characters because the cinematics are so fucking boring and they do nothing for me, and I don't think anybody actually cares about this universe of the characters. It is funny though, PC Gamer, they also gave the game a 45. Concord's third-rate heroes aren't up to the competition. Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I do love how you can contrast third-rate heroes, and they're calling them here, what was it, diverse characters. Nobody cares about this lineup of characters. They're terrible. They're ugly. We did see also the fact that this game continues to tumble. When I mean tumble, it is collapsing. I didn't think it was possible when you have 600 players at launch, but say what you will, Concord's surprising me. Concord is already hitting double-digit player numbers on Steam, and as some people have been pointing out, the game has lost over 85% of its player base after launch. And if you actually go to SteamDB, it's worse than that. As you can see, it has 130 players right now. It's a Friday night. You would think that this game would have a lot more. It would have had a boost. Let me actually reload the page, and we'll see. Hey, it gained 3 players. But this is very much the case. The game began, let's see, we can do this. Last Friday night, it was 697, Saturday 473, Sunday 400, Monday 276, Tuesday it was, 241, Wednesday it was about 198, Thursday, it was 178, and today it has so far gotten about 130. And the lowest point that this game has reached is actually 54 players. I saw that this was last night, or early morning. 54 players, that is the low point that this game has hit. Over 90% of the players are gone. And within a week or two, there's very likely there's going to be a dozen or two players left playing this experience. And ultimately, if you look at all the other metrics, it continues to be god-awful. Black Myth Wukong obliterates Concord with unreal debate. Black Myth Wukong has debuted with 183% more players than Concord from our respective sample. With no one collecting Concord trophies on PSN, Firewalk's first PS5 game is in 147th place in our popularity chart. Ouch. And yeah, the metrics continue to be more negative as time has gone on. Sub 200 Steam players, 56th in PlayStation sales right now. Again, that is right now, week of launch. That is horrific. This is probably the biggest PlayStation flop, maybe in history. Next, though, we have this article coming from IGN, which puts the failure of this game in even more perspective. Concord is estimated to have sold only 25,000 units. Again, this game probably cost, with the lifespan, all the developers working on this, probably north of $100 million. 25,000 units probably means this game has made around $1 million. That is a historic flop. And they asked analysts, this is actually what I'm interested in, analysts talking about the game. Is Concord actually selling that badly? Yeah. Liam Dean, principal analyst at Omdia, said, the Steam numbers are so bad that even without the exact data on the PS5 side, we can be pretty certain that the game is doing very badly. On Monday, August 26th, Concord ranked 147th on US PS5 daily active players across all titles, with fewer than 0.2% of Monday's active PS5 players playing the game. Analyst Simon Carles, who authors GameDiscovery.co newsletter, estimated that Concord's total sales are sitting around 10,000 units on Steam and around 15,000 on PlayStation. Ouch. Now, why isn't Concord selling? I think we already know why, but they say Concord suffered from poor marketing, a higher price point, and most critically, a lack of differentiation and an oversaturated genre. One of the analysts saying that it suffered from low awareness and purchase intent among video game players. I mean, whenever they marketed the game, it was pretty obvious how the gaming community reacted to it, and it was they just scoffed at it because it looked terrible. It looked ugly. He indicated that Circana's player pulse was showing that as of July, only a very small percentage of players were even aware Concord existed to begin with. And then here are the obvious conclusions that I don't think you need to be an analyst to know, but Concord should have launched free to play, or at least as part of PS Plus's subscription, to have a fighting chance in overcrowded genre. It is not too late for this to happen, of course, but the damage might have already been done. It has. First impressions matter. Every analyst I spoke to also hammered home that what may be Concord's biggest problem, lack of differentiation. And then they mention, again, the obvious point since then, since the game, began development around the time Overwatch began. Since then, we've had a few more big budget hero shooters come to market: Apex Legends, Valorant, Overwatch 2, Deadlock just released, Marvel Rivals soon, each with their own unique gameplay attributes. All three of these games are played by millions of gamers every month and dominate this category. And again, the thing about Concord, it does absolutely nothing unique. It fills a void that doesn't exist. If you've played Concord or seen gameplay of it, I mean, it looks like it's Destiny meets Overwatch meets Valorant, but I think a lot of people come to the same conclusion: is why not I just play those games instead of this pile of garbage that also costs $40, and those games don't. And other individuals have pointed out the issues actually with the gameplay experience. Somebody saying my problem with the characters' designs and why they impact gameplay, and this is actually minus the cosmetic side of it. There's actual gameplay problems with this. Some of the design choices are absolutely baffling, and you can't blame this on the anti-woke stuff. Look at Daw. He is a support, yes. He's supposed to be midline throwing down heals and mitigating damage, yes. Why is he fat with a huge hitbox? He's supposed to encourage group play so he can maximize the number of people he gets with his pad, but if people are group around him, his huge ass hitbox means he's going to take damage on every single AoE. How fat you are should be directly proportional to how well you can take a hit. Amari can take lots of hits. She's fat, no worries. Daw can't take hits, man. He's not supposed to, so why is he like this? We also see other individuals pointing out that matchmaking after launch weekend just waited 8 minutes for matchmaking. I actually did play this game last night. I tried recording gameplay. I think I have more time sitting in matchmaking than actually playing the experience, because there was multiple times so you'd be sitting there for 5 minutes still waiting for a match to hit, and it's only going to get worse as time goes on, as people just realize that this isn't worth it, and there's better options on the table. Other individuals have been pointing out that PlayStation Studios definitely are going all out to get people to play the game, and there could be an argument that PlayStation Studios are making up most of the player base at this point. We had Naughty Dog calling all free gunners, Ben Studio, Insomniac, Sucker Punch. They're going another way. They're trying to help their sister studio, but it ain't gonna help, and it isn't working. Tom Warren also pointed out that last year's major disaster flop, Gollum, actually had a higher peak than Concord, which, again, multiplayer versus single player, that's just insane to me. Another individual pointing out that somebody said that they dropped a 20 bomb in the game. Bro killed over 3% of the game's concurrent player base in one match. That's facts. It's true. Another individual saying the game Concord actually has a few animated shorts where all of the world is done in this cell shaded look, and honestly if it looked like this, I genuinely believed it could have been received way better, and I think it would have more players. I actually think that this design is a lot more inspired than what they did here. Another individual pointing out that IGN, a journalist, says you're a bad human being if you don't like the game. Concord really is scratching that multiplayer shooter itch. It's not too late to delete this, not too late to become a decent human being. What does that have to do with anything with a game? And then we do have other users on Twitter defending this game. Too many bugs at launch. Elden Ring was such a buggy mess at launch. Just to get a stable frame rate, you needed to play the PlayStation 4 version on PS5. Game reviews need standards, so I guess this individual didn't like Elden Ring's reviews, but for some reason they're shilling going out of their way to praise this game. And this screenshot right here, they say that it's number 4 in the PlayStation Store, but they sorted it to new games, so it didn't show that it's actually, like in the 30s, 40s, 50s actually on the store. And then of course they just have tons of praise for Concord, so rather interesting that there's just more defenders for this game on social media than actually in game. Well, it appears that Reddit found my last video, and you can make an argument that it looks like this subreddit has more fans of Concord than those actually playing the game. How dare they attack us, says recurring lying. Okay, well, let's see what they're bringing up here. My video, the devs attack gamers. Well, that happened. The dev says haters talentless freaks. That is exactly what that developer who worked on Concord said. Concord tanks hard. That is exactly what happened, and then it cuts off right here, but that says as less than 700 players at launch. All just straight up facts. Now though, to the comment section. Gamers deserve to be attacked. Well, that sums up Reddit for you pretty much. Ultimately at this point, Concord looks like probably the biggest flop in 2024, maybe the biggest embarrassment for PlayStation in years. And the path forward for Concord, there doesn't at all seem to be one. They can go free to play, but I don't think that there's going to be interest at all in this experience. And ultimately, I just feel like in a couple months, this game could be shutting down. Maybe there'll be refunds, probably not, but this looks like a giant misfire from PlayStation and an age where they just cannot get this live service right because they continue to chase trends while they should have concentrated on what worked for them during the PlayStation 4 era, which was doubling down on these fantastic single-player experiences. But unfortunately, feels like we have more failures like this to come in the future because this is what they've been investing in as of late. Oh, and it's definitely encouraging that their next multiplayer offering, their next big multiplayer project that I can think of, hasn't been embroiled in I don't know what Sony's gonna do. Anyway, what do you make of what's going on with Concord? Let me know down in the comment section below, but thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video, if you found any informative value, and consider subscribing for more videos like this in the future, and I'll see you later.